Well, it's the 7th day of August 2018. Good evening and a warm welcome to Y254 TV. Today being Business Tuesday, we bring you business news from the country, from the continent, and from our international scenes. Do interact with us using our Twitter and Facebook handle, that is Y254, or you can send us a message on 22162 beginning with the word Y News. My name is Miriam Masava. Thank you so much for joining us. Parliament has revoked the law that imposed 1 million shilling fine or 1-year jail term for real estate developers and home owners who failed to install solar water heating system in their buildings. The MP said that the penalties will increase cost for landlords and tenants and undermine access to affordable housing. The penalties were introduced under regulations empowering the Energy Regulatory Commission to vet buildings for compliance with the solar heating rules. National Assembly's Committee on Delegated Legislation threw out the ELC rules on grounds that the 1 million shillings fine contravenes the section of the Statutory Instrument Act that limits fines payable under the Act to a maximum of 20,000 shillings or a prison term not exceeding 6 months in default. The MP said additional cost of the solar water heaters impacts negatively on access to affordable housing. The ERC in 2012 gazetted the regulations requiring that premises with hot water demand exceeding 100 liters per day install solar water heating system to cater for at least 60% of the demand. The notice affected domestic houses with at least 3 bedrooms, colleges and boarding schools with 20 or more students, and hotels, hostels and lodges with at least 4 beds, restaurants that serve at least 20 meals a day, and laundries that handle more than 20 kilograms of clothes were also included. The regulations prohibit Kenya Power from connecting electricity to any of the property owners that fail to install solar panels. The regulations required owners of new buildings to comply at the time of publishing of the notice, while existing buildings had a grace period of 5 years to do so. The grace period expired in May last year. Miriam Masava, Y254 Business. The government has released 1.4 billion shillings as part of payment to farmers for maize deliveries to National Cereal and Produce Board last year. Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Andrew Tuimur, said the money was released last week to the Ministry of Devolution. The money is part of the 3.5 billion shillings that the government owes farmers.
The government started fresh vetting of farmers in April after it was discovered that there were unscrupulous traders who supply cheap imported grain from Uganda to benefit from the government price. It has therefore released 1.4 billion shillings as part of payment to farmers for maize deliveries to the National Cereals and Produce Board last year. NCPB yesterday said it was waiting for the funds to be wired from the Ministry of Devolution before it starts distributing to the farmers. The ministry had requested for additional funds from the National Treasury after it was allocated 1.9 billion shillings in the supplementary budget to cater for farmers' debts. But with imports from Uganda flooding the market, there are fears that the cheap maize might again find its way to the National Cereals and Produce Board depots. According to Dr. Tuimur, only those who have been vetted will benefit from the cash. Yvonne Anula for Y254 Business.
American fast food franchise Burger King is seeking to expand its footprint in the Kenyan market with the opening of its 4th outlet at the Thika Road Mall. The franchise already has a presence at its City, Next Gen, The Hub, and Two Rivers Mall.
Chain's presence in Africa, which currently has locations in Egypt, Morocco, South Africa, and Ivory Coast. Restaurant chains, retailers, and consumer goods companies are expanding in sub-Saharan Africa, where the number of middle-class households has tripled. Burger King worldwide plans to enter new African countries before the end of the year in tapping demand from the continent's middle class. The franchise early this year announced the opening of about 20 stores a year, with most of its future being drive-thrus. The franchise already has a presence presence at the city's next-gen, The Hub, the Two Rivers Mall. The restaurant is independently owned and operated through a franchise agreement with NAS Airport Services Limited, a subsidiary to Surveyor, the third largest airline catering and logistics business globally and the country's leader on the African continent. Yvonne Anula for Y254 Business.
Well, the Ministry of Petroleum finalizes the review of the regulations governing trade in cooking gas, which proposes doing away with the cylinder exchange pool. Consumer will therefore not be able to refill cooking gas cylinder at any petrol station or retailer in the next few months. Marketers will only accept gas cylinders that bear the brand name after the Ministry of Petroleum finalizes the review of the regulations governing trade in cooking gas. Oil marketing companies have in the past argued that liberalized LPG regime has led to the proliferation of illegal gas refilling businesses. The Energy Regulatory Commission said it has concluded a public consultation phase and is now reviewing feedback. ERC Director General Pavel Oimeke said they are considering both the consumers' interests as well as those of the industry and trying to strike a balance. Access to gas has led to growth in the use of cooking gas from 80,000 tons per year in 2010 to 189,300 tons last year. The regulations will be ready for implementation in a few months, replacing the 2009 regulations. Miriam Masava, Y254 Business. Now, into a weekly roundup, the National Environment Management Authority has demolished a Java House coffee outlet in Kileleshwa. A Shell petrol station and a Safe Dose pharmacy were also closed in the demolitions as NEMA set out to reclaim illegally occupied wetlands in the city. Details of these and other stories in a weekly roundup.
The demolitions caught workers at the three business premises unaware, sparking fears and confusion. They stopped business and started salvaging property including cookery, drinks, furniture, microwaves, ovens among others as the bulldozer tore down their building. According to owners of Safe Dose Pharmacy, property worth millions of shillings was destroyed in the demolitions as, unlike Java and Shell, they were unable to salvage their property. A NEMA official supervising the exercise told reporters that the exercise was to reclaim illegally occupied wetlands in the capital. Meanwhile, Tanzania intends to build a pipeline to pump natural gas to Uganda in a bid to expand energy cooperation between the two countries. According to state-run Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation, the pipeline will start from Tanzania's capital, Dar es Salaam, and then pass through Tanga port on the Indian Ocean and to Mwanza, a port on Lake Victoria, before crossing the border to Uganda. The corporation is seeking to hire a contractor to conduct a feasibility study to determine current and future natural gas demand by identifying all potential customers and establish the most economically viable route for the pipeline. Tanzania boasts estimated recoverable natural gas reserves of over 57 trillion cubic feet, mostly in offshore fields in the south of the country. Finally, Zimbabwe's business community is optimistic about the country's economy following the victory of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. At the lowest point of Zimbabwe's economic crisis in 2008, the economy shrank by 18%, hyperinflation reached 500 billion%, and unemployment was at 95% by some estimates. The economy has stabilized somewhat since the downturn, with inflation running at more than 14% and the budget deficit at 12% of the GDP. Economic growth is projected to reach 3.0% in 2018 on account of good performance in agriculture and mining sectors. However, the economy still faces deep systemic issues, including cash storages caused by a lack of foreign currency circulating in the economy. Zimbabweans hope that the international financial community will re-engage with the country and bring an end to the economic stagnation that has blighted the country. For Business Tuesday, my name is Abdulrazak Ngutia.
Well, for those who are tuning in, this is Y254 News, and today is Business Tuesday. Please do send us your feedback on using our social media handle Y254 News, that is on Facebook and Twitter, or you can send us a message on 22162, beginning with the word Y News. And we are going to take a short break. We'll be back shortly.